Hi there and welcome to Wassell Woodworking. On today's episode we're going to be making this plywood holder. It's a very simple yet wonderful device that helps you carry plywood. Everyone knows that carrying plywood over your head is not fun. It's easy to drop, the wind can catch it. This allows you to use a hand to lift it up and the other to stabilize it, makes it easy. I'll give you an example. Here's a piece of 1/2 inch plywood. Put it down like that. And then it's just a matter of picking it up, and it's easy to walk around. This has been cut down so it's not a full 4x8 sheet, but I've used it with 3/4 inch full sheets of plywood, and it makes life so much easier to lift up. It's just a lot easier as opposed to trying to get your hands down there and holding it, and that can be very difficult for a big sheet. So join us while I'll show you how to make this. So it's off to the table saw where I cut a piece 7 inches wide and 15 inches long. Dimensions don't have to be perfect, but that works for me. While you certainly don't have to have a CNC machine to make this, I thought it would be nice to cut some holes out of it, make a design, and of course the only thing that's important is to have a handhold. And that handhold was actually cut first. You can see it on the far edge of the picture, but that can be done with a jigsaw or scroll saw or something else. And this 50 times speed, before you know it, all the holes were completely cut out. Now that I've taken the piece off the CNC table, I need to cut the little tabs that were holding the waste products in, and they're just thin enough that the razor knife will go through. And I'm sorry about that elbow shot there. There's not a great way to show this without a better angle. But anyway, I cut those all through, and at this higher speed I end up with a small pile of those. This does, however, leave a bit of a mess since it didn't go quite far enough, so I have to sand this down before I can take it over to the router table, because otherwise it's not going to sit flat on the table. Alright, now we're going to take this over to the router and we're going to clean this up. So I'm using a 1/4 inch roundover bit in this operation, and that works out well, but some of the triangles had corners that were a little too sharp for it, so it didn't do a perfect job. If I did this over again, I would make the triangles with a little bit larger radius corners, and that would solve that particular issue. And now we're ready for some assembly. So I'm taking some glue and I'm gluing 2 pieces of 1/2 inch plywood to the bottom. And not only do I use glue, I use a total of 4 screws. I'm countersinking those down in place because this is actually going to hold all the weight of those heavy sheets of plywood. And once those are done, there's basically a superficial piece that goes on just to prevent that plywood from sliding off. And it's only held in there with a couple smaller 1/2 inch long screws. So this is the final product right here. And this bumps out so that when you're holding onto a piece of wood like this, lifting up, you won't hit your knuckles. So that is the final project. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up below, subscribe today, and I'll see you next time on Wassell Woodworking. Thanks for watching. So a few weeks after I built it, here I am using it for carrying 3/4 inch sheets of plywood. These plywood sheets are heavy, and this really helps out carrying them long distances, not having to use your hand underneath the bottom. It makes it a lot easier, and you don't pinch your hand when you're putting things down either, which is great. So anyway, see you next time.